then on September 2nd, we have referee DC. On the 3rd, we have Jay Alexander. And on the 9th, we have Verdugo. So things are heating up for Wrestling Wit. Definitely check out our social medias to find out who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, and links to those interviews. I think we're done putting ourselves over. No, Kaliko? We're never done Why was I doing a southern accent? Yeah, no. No, Kaliko. All by my lonesome this week. But it's still a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the news. And starting with a bit of big news, good news, sad news. Naomi has come down with the dreaded injury of pregnancy. Big Jim with his Slim Jim did the deed, and Naomi did not proceed with caution. Should probably take her own advice. Nonetheless, very happy for her. I doubt that she's going to come back to the caliber that she was. Obviously she was just hitting every cylinder this last run. I'm not sure if she's going to have that momentum when she comes back. But she's very much grandfathered in at this point. So there's going to be a spot for her for sure. But congratulations to Naomi, and maybe even Jay. We don't know if it was actually Jimmy. They're twins after all. Another piece of news off the bracket is that the ESPN deal, instead of starting in January of 2026 with the Royal Rumble, will now start next month at a new paid preview called WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis. I don't know what's the reasoning of this is. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be for the worst. It's a new app. I don't think it's been tested as well as it could have been. When new things come out, things are bound to crash. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of discontent. Fans out there, come September 20th, I believe it is, for WrestlePalooza. I will have no problem because I like to sail the high seas. But no, WrestlePalooza, probably the worst WWE PLE name since Great Balls of Fire, I would say. It's not a WWE-esque name. It's bad, if I'm being completely honest. Do not recommend. 1 star. On the other side of the cordon, AEW news, Will Ospreay is going to need neck surgery, but not until he wrestles at Forbidden Door later today. Don't know how smart that is for him. Maybe it's at a point where the damage can't be more severe than it could. He still is risking paralyzation. The neck is like one of the most sensitive areas you could have an injury, especially in pro wrestling. But I don't think anybody accused Will Ospreay of being a smart individual. Nonetheless, he will be competing. It's not necessarily a good thing for AEW any which way you look at it, because Will Ospreay was one of their bigger stars and one of their biggest draws. And at a time where AEW is not necessarily drawing the biggest crowds or making, the biggest splash in the ratings pool, Will Ospreay really did help those numbers. People did, like genuinely like him. For whatever reason, bruh. And I can imagine that, this ratings, the attendance is going to somewhat take a hit now that he's not going to be a part of the product. Just adding to all the bad juju, Swerve, if you believe in the rumor and innuendo, is working with a torn meniscus. I mean, at some point, he's going to need surgery as well. If you don't have Ospreay, I mean, Swerve could hold up the ship, but not having Ospreay or Swerve, you know, it's just it's just another hit to the gut for AEW. Like, it's literally their two biggest stars. And, no offense to Hangman and MJF, I don't think they're not necessarily setting the wrestling world on fire, and people aren't necessarily buying the tickets to see them specifically. So we'll see what happens there. Um, Either way, it's two big losses for AEW. And just when you think the losses can't keep coming, rolling in, I mean, it does come in threes sometimes. Chris Jericho, I mean, he didn't die. But he might be going back to WWE. His contract is coming up with AEW in December, I believe. And it's being reported that it is very much a real possibility that he goes back to WWE. Um, which, I mean, low key, I could really believe. You know, Chris Jericho has not been a part of this version of WWE. I don't think him and Triple H necessarily got along to begin with, but if you're going to finish out your career, and Jericho is definitely in the twilight of his career, why not have a couple of banger matches when he could maybe still pull out a banger, and get your Hall of Fame ring, and go into the good night. Then collect that good Legends money while you're on tour with Fozzy. Like I said, I do think that it's a very good possibility of that happening. People are speculating, Royal Rumble and the pop that it's going to be. I don't think that's going to be that big of a pop considering it's in Saudi. If it was literally any place in the United States, it would have been, roof off of the place. But, the Saudis don't necessarily respond as well as crowds in other parts of the world. So I would probably maybe hold off on a Royal Rumble return and see where they could fit him in, either before or after that. I don't think a return before John Cena's retirement match is possible at this point. But never say never, I suppose. And but I mean, if AEW did lose him, that would be probably the most devastating hit since Punk left, I would say. Um, Maybe he'll stay because of the freedom that he gets, but I I think he's done with that place. I think he did all he could do, and get the paydays that he needed from billionaire Tony. Another one that might be bound for the WWE is Danhausen. Very nice, very evil. Um, I don't know what they would actually do with him, but I would be genuinely interested to find out what they would. So, if we do see Danhausen in WWE, I would not be mad at that. Um, I just put this into the news bracket of things because there's not a lot to talk about, and that is the G1 finals. It was last week. To say that it was as basic bits of a show that it could possibly be would be an understatement. And the fact that, Konosuke Taketsuka has won the G1, is the G1 champion, and will be, main eventing Tokyo Dome in 2026, it just kind of tells you the sad state that NJPW's in, that they would, try and put an outsider in that position. He wrestled Evil in that last match. And, as hated and despised as Evil is, Evil got a bigger pop than Konosuke. Like the people wanted Evil. And they were kind of, genuinely upset that Konosuke won. This is the second time that New Japan has kind of put their chips on one person, and it kind of struck out with the fans. I don't know what they're doing or what they're trying to do. I mean, Yoda Tsuchi was right fucking there the whole time, and he still is. I genuinely do not understand why they wouldn't go with the one guy that does seem like he's ready to take on that role, and for the crowd to actually accept it. It is, genuinely baffling to me. So, we will see what happens with New Japan as they, move forward to the Destruction Tour. They're not going into the Destruction Tour with a lot of momentum from the G1. Like I said, kind of ended like a wet fart than, the fire that they were looking for. Alright, that will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.